Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
And thanks to all of you, I have to begin by apologizing for my late arrival. I jumped into my Uber and I asked him to drive at speeds not seen in generations. He immediately hit the brakes. Hey now!
Good one from Pierre Poilievre. That was him speaking at the Canada Strong and Free networking event that's happening right now in Ottawa. A lot of people up there for that, including some of my listeners. So how you doing? Hope you're having a great time. Friends, welcome to a Listener DMs Friday episode. Like I started doing last week, not only am I going to do your DMs on this episode, I am also going to weave in a little bit of content so that I cover a lot of different bases here. And a little housekeeping note here too. I want to give you a heads up that I am going to be off on Monday and Tuesday. So please don't expect new episodes Monday and Tuesday. I have some travel plans. I am a terrible Canadian. I'm going to America. Oh my God. Nah, it's not a big deal. I don't think it is a big deal if we go to the States, by the way. I don't have a problem with the Americans. I've got a problem with one American. So anyway, I'll be in the States for Monday and Tuesday, but I'll be back on Wednesday, and I'll get you caught up on anything that you miss in the meantime. Like I said, I'm going to weave some clips and content into this episode, and I think a good place to start is, you know what? I played a little bit of that Canada Strong and Free Network meeting from Pierre Poilievre. Let me do another one for you, and then I'll get to the first listener DM.
Family formation and birth rates are falling because young people cannot afford homes in which to raise kids. Stats Canada literally reported today that almost exactly double the number of young people are living with their parents as was the case when the boomers were young. There's a 100% increase in the last 7 years in food bank use as government taxes and inflationary spending drive up the cost of groceries. Youth unemployment outside of COVID is at its worst level since the Great Global Recession, and the Liberals have used fear, illusions, and never-ending crises in order to seize and expand undemocratic power.
Okay, a little bit of Pierre Poilievre's speech there. That's interesting. He was talking about youth unemployment. He was talking about the amount of people that are still living with their parents, and that number is probably going to grow. StatsCan just released the latest jobs numbers. Canada lost 17,700 jobs. Economists were predicting we would have added 10,000 jobs at least. We lost 17,700. So now the unemployment rate is up to 6.9%. It's a loss of 46,700 full-time positions, offset partially by a 29,000 increase in part-time jobs. I think everybody knows those part-time jobs don't really pay the mortgage or pay the rent. Those part-time jobs are not what's allowing people to save up for a down payment, so the jobs numbers are not good. All right, let's get to the first DM. This one is from Don. Scott, I have a listener DM for you. Why haven't the Liberals passed any of their crime reform bills that they wanted now that they have a majority? Or really anything that tried before the floor crossing? They tried before the floor crossing, I'm guessing that should say. Don, thank you for the message. No, the crime and punishment bills are still sitting on the order table. They're still being discussed and negotiated, and the Liberals have only had a majority for a couple of weeks now. I think that they're probably going to start passing things soon. The problem is that the Liberals, when they control the committees, can really water down those bills. And whereas people think they're getting the bill that they want that's going to keep violent repeat offenders behind bars, that's going to make it harder to get bail and things like that. A lot of those justice bills have been watered down. But the majority thing is interesting. They do have it now. They just haven't really had time to really flex their muscle on that. So if you want those liberal bills that they promised passed, sit tight, my friend. I have a feeling they are coming. Let's do back-to-back DMs. This next one is from Jen. Hey, Scott, I have a listener DM. So we own a condo in Mississauga. We lost our jobs at Stellantis in Brampton 2 years ago. We got the opportunity to transfer to Windsor, so we took it. We tried to sell our condo for those 2 years. No hitters. Everyone was undercutting by over $100,000. We can't afford to take that loss, so we decided to rent it out instead. We don't want to be landlords, especially when we're over 4 hours away from the property. We have contacted the bank in person, to which they tell us they don't know and call our mortgage center. We don't want our mortgage anymore, and we don't believe we should have to declare bankruptcy just because we don't want the house anymore. I was wondering if your listeners had any idea of what to do besides declare bankruptcy when we can't afford the mortgage. It's just an inconvenience at this point. Signed, Jen. Jen, you are in a spot that a lot of people are either in or unfortunately will be in soon enough. You're stuck with a house. You don't really want to sell it because it's a bad market and you're going to take a loss on it. So you hang on to it, but then you got to pay the mortgage payment. Maybe you can get a renter in, but the renter is not going to be paying enough to cover that high mortgage, especially with interest rates the way they are. What does one do? You know, it'd be great if there was a scenario where you could just walk into the bank and throw your keys across the table and say, it's yours, you take it. But I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they will. And that's frustrating. I really don't know what to say. The real estate market, anything could happen. It's kind of baffling, to be honest with you. I don't recall ever being in a situation like this. Even the 2008 housing crisis wasn't like this. But I have a feeling you're not alone. If anybody has any advice here for Jen, any suggestions, by all means, let me know. Slide into my DMs at Scott Fox On Air. Now I'm going to do just one more clip from Pierre Poilievre. It's very partisan, as you would expect. When Carney talks, it's partisan. When Poilievre talks, it's partisan. But it's Friday, and I want to try and keep it a little bit lighter. Save this clip right here. This is a good one from Pierre's speech yesterday.
Then there's the China illusion. When he said that Beijing, a year ago, he said that Beijing was the single biggest threat to Canada. And then about 3 months ago, he signed on to what he called a strategic partnership for a new world order with the dictatorship in Beijing. And of course, there's the illusion of the last election where he said he needed to call an immediate snap election so that he had a mandate to conclude a deal with Trump and end the tariffs. And here we are. He hasn't sat down at the negotiating table for 5 months. While the Mexicans are there eating our diplomatic and economic lunch, he is sitting on the sidelines and our people are sitting without jobs.
Okay, Pierre Poilievre talking about the hypocrisy. It wasn't that long ago that Mark Carney did say, and he went out of his way to say it, that China is our biggest threat. And then he got into a deal with them. And is he doing that because he wants us to have a deal with China or because he doesn't want us to have a deal with America, or both? That's a topic of conversation that happens fairly regularly. I don't know if anybody really knows yet, except for maybe his inner circle. But it's going to start to materialize in short order. I have to think very soon we're going to start to see whatever the strategy is, whether this alignment with China is to try and bring the Americans to the table, or whether it's just to align us more with China. And I'd really like to hear more about what Mark Carney truly envisions is the new world order. All he said is that there is one, and that we're a middle power. But he hasn't said who the bosses are. And he hasn't said if we're completely sovereign or if we're beholden to whoever is leading this new world order. I'm going to move on with another listener DM. This one is from Zachary. Good afternoon, Scott. I want to weigh in on this virus situation. Regardless of how serious this is or not, I would stress caution on every individual, government, or private citizen to not downplay or overcorrect from what happened during the last pandemic. I know this isn't a pandemic, and for now, we're just seeing random cases. But I hope that people don't turn on each other like before, and that people can learn to wait and be more reasonable than last time. Zachary, I think that's a fantastic message. We learned a lot during COVID. Now, I know that because of this hantavirus that's going around right now, that's the cruise ship virus, I know there's a lot of people who are concerned, myself included. I don't know why anybody got off that boat if this was a possibility. They're saying now some of the people got off the boat a couple of weeks ago, and now they're back in their countries, including 2 in Ontario and 1 in Quebec. There's 3 in Canada that may have been exposed, but they don't necessarily have the hantavirus, so we're just sort of waiting. This virus apparently has an incubation period of about a month to 6 weeks. Yikes, that's a long time to wait to find out if you've gotten sick. I just don't want this to spread. This is one that is spreading from person to person. Is it the same as COVID-19? No, it's definitely not the same as COVID-19. This one apparently is much harder to spread. But they did also downplay COVID-19 at times as well. The World Health Organization is on it. The U.S. Center for Disease Control is on it. I have to think the world's best minds are trying to make sure this thing doesn't spread because nearest I can tell, they don't want this one to spread. COVID, that was totally different. Now, as far as all of us being a little more patient and keeping this in perspective, yeah, we should definitely do that. Think back to how divided we got during COVID. People who refused to get that shot were shamed. And I think that's wrong. I think it's wrong what we did to people. It got to a point where we had a massive rally on Capitol Hill there in Ottawa, to the point where the government had to declare the Emergencies Act to try and dispel that protest. That's how upset people got during COVID. We don't need to go down that road again. Let's just wait and see what's going on. Yesterday, President Trump was asked about the hantavirus. Here's what he had to say.
I'm also with ABC News. Can I ask you about the hantavirus? Have you been briefed on the virus?
Yes, I have.
Can you tell us what you learned in these briefings?
Well, I think you're going to be told everything, and you already have. It's very much, we hope, under control. It was the ship. And I think we're going to make a full report about it tomorrow. We have a lot of people, a lot of great people studying it. It should be fine. We hope.
Should be fine. Actually, if memory serves, I think he said something very similar when COVID first started. But again, you know what? I shouldn't even say that. I don't want to draw a parallel between COVID and the hantavirus right now. For now, let's just wait and see where this goes. We've been told by Dr. Fauci, by Bill Gates, and many others, there will be another pandemic. I personally get the gut feeling that this isn't it, but time will tell, and I may be proven wrong. Let's get to another DM. This one is from Alyssa. Hi, Scott. I wanted to ask you a question for listener DMs. Has there been anything further mentioned on that tax for leaving Canada? Okay, that's part one. Alyssa, I will tell you, no, there's nothing formally been proposed as far as legislation is concerned. That was something that was discussed at the Liberal Convention. It was brought up by one of the speakers that there should be a tax on young people who want to leave Canada. Well, I mean, I think most people would agree that's preposterous. Your own country charging you if you want to leave. That does not signify best economy in the G7 and a thriving future. That is not what that says. A tax on people who want to leave. I think that's a mistake. Other countries don't do that. And I don't think that Canada should go down that road either. There's a lot of young people that do want opportunity, and that's all they want. And they would probably rather have that opportunity here in Canada, surrounded by their family and friends. But because that opportunity isn't presenting itself, because youth unemployment is so bad, because the youth cannot afford to get into the housing market, there's a lot of them that want to go south of the border. Taxing them to make them stay here. And by the way, the tax they suggested was $500,000 as an exit tax. We can't go down that road. We can't do that. It would be way too expensive to leave and way too expensive to stay. We would be completely trapping young people. What we've got to do is fix the situation for young people here in Canada. Next part of that message from Alyssa. Additionally, I can speak to the layoffs for trades. My stepson's contract will be coming to a close in the next month. Every day, he watches the union board for the amount of people being laid off, and it's only going higher. Makes him incredibly nervous, knowing he will probably be on that list shortly. Thank you for the news coverage that you do. That's how I get my news now. Have a fantastic day. Alyssa, thank you. That in particular means a lot to me that you get your news from me. I consider this a sacred responsibility. And while I do have a bias, and I'll do it again, let me declare my bias. I'm a conservative. more or less. No, I am. I'm a conservative, but more so than the politics of left and right. I just care about people. I care about middle-class Canadians, the ones who have been squeezed the hardest and the ones who are being hurt the most right now. I care about middle-class Canadians and families and the communities they live in. That's what motivates me to do this. I'm glad you're enjoying it. As for your stepson there losing his contract, God, I hope that doesn't happen. There's so many ads and so many programs right now. They are bombarding high school students. Everything trades. It's career fairs all the time that only feature trades. It's nuts how hard they're trying to get people into the trades. And while I do think that there will soon be opportunity for people in the trades, right now it's just not there. And that's a tough pill for a lot of people in the trades to swallow. Thank you for that message. Let me do another piece of audio for you. I want to go to... you know what we'll do here? Let's talk a little bit about immigration. I'll tell you, anytime immigration comes up on the pod, my DMs blow up. The Conservative Party's immigration critic is Michelle Rempel-Garner. She was speaking yesterday at the Canada Strong and Free networking event in Ottawa. This is about a minute and a half. Listen to Michelle talk about the situation as she sees it.
You also have to look at this from the perspective of somebody who's being recruited to come to Canada under one of these low-skilled streams. I think it's fundamentally anti-Canadian for us to offer the prospect of coming to Canada. The only way you can come to Canada now is for a low-skilled job to be locked into essentially what amounts to indentured servitude, where you're being perceived, and in many cases rightly, as both depressing wages and taking away the jobs of people who are already in Canada, and having no prospect to have labor mobility in the country or upward mobility. That's fundamentally antithetical to what it means to be Canadian, and yet that principle in such a short period of time has become entrenched into the ethos of how immigration decisions are being made now, and that's fundamentally immoral, I think. Like, we are now, what's happened, and whenever I get requests in my office to meet, well, saying like, Michelle, there's no kid in Canada that wants to do these jobs. I mean, I was told not to swear on stage, but that's BS, right? Like, it is. And so what happens under this is not only are we like removing the Canadian dream, we're also calcifying a caste system in Canada. That's not right.
The labor issue, the immigration issue, they are very, very tied together. I did the employment numbers right off the top of this pod. When they're that bad, why would we bring a single person to this country to work? Why? Now, the argument is that there's no Canadians who want to do those jobs. I am like Michelle. I call BS on that. I don't believe that for a second. I don't think that's true. I think that for every available job in Canada, there is someone in Canada right now who would do that job. I just don't necessarily think that some of these employers are interested in hiring Canadians to do the job. I think they would rather bring someone from another country for a myriad of different reasons, not the least of which there's a lot of people here who have set up a business or operate a business, and they want to bring family and friends from the country that they came from. Well, here we are. We've got massive unemployment numbers, almost 7% right now, and I think that's an understatement. I have a hard time believing that out of 100 people, only 7 of them are unemployed. I just don't buy that. I also don't agree with StatsCan's methodology on that. But hey, it's up to StatsCan how they want to calculate those numbers. I just don't think that we should consider it Bible or consider it all that reliable, personally.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's room of choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Next DM, this one from TML fan. Scott, Leafs get the first overall pick. Are you back on the bandwagon? No, I'm not. Hey, listen, I have been or was a Toronto Maple Leaf fan all my life. All my life, I cheered for the Leafs. And for years, I would watch a game and then go to bed angry. Or I would wake up in the morning and hear the score and instantly be frustrated. Last year, after another disappointing season, I did something for myself and for my mental health. I said, you know what? I'm done. I don't have it in me to cheer for another team. The thought of me buying a Boston Bruins or a Montreal Canadiens or a Buffalo Sabres jersey, I just don't have it in me. I'm not going to cheer for another team. But that doesn't mean that I have to cheer for the Leafs and keep supporting a team that puts out a mediocre product every single year. I gave up. I said I'm done. And all this year, I stuck to it. I didn't watch any games. I didn't get involved in the social media discussions. I didn't listen to the talk shows and analysis on it. I said I'm done. This year, the Leafs didn't even make the playoffs. This was the perfect year to jump off the bandwagon. Now, TML fan here wants to know if I'm back on because we got the first overall pick. The short answer is no, I'm not back in. I said I'm done until I see a meaningful effort to make this team better. I am not going to just settle for mediocrity anymore. I did it for too long. Too many excuses I made in my head to continue being a fan of that team. And hey, don't get me wrong. Deep down, I am still a fan of the team. I would like to see them do well. I'm not closing the door forever. I'm just not giving them my support. I will not go to a game. I have no interest in doing it. I'm not watching a game. I'm not participating in the social media. None of it. I'm off the bandwagon. Now, the Leafs could win me back, but I got to see a concerted effort to make that a better team. Let's do back-to-back DMs. This one from Cheryl. Scott, it drives me nuts when I'm listening to your pod and I hear Mark Carney go in and out of French and English. Makes me feel he's hiding more than usual. Signed, Cheryl. Cheryl, thank you. One thing I would point out about the Prime Minister, and I'm not here to apologize for Mark Carney, but one thing I would point out is I've been watching this guy for a year now, and one of the things that has become apparent to me is he's a very intelligent person. Now, that doesn't mean he's right about everything. I just think that he thinks on a very analytical level, and I think that he factors in a lot of things. He is pragmatic is a good way to describe Mark Carney's process. Now, people who think like that sometimes have a difficult time articulating exactly what it is they want to say in a concise way because they have so many thoughts pouring into their head, and they're informed thoughts, they're intelligent thoughts, but they don't always come out well. When someone does a lot of and ahs, sometimes they're thinking about what they want to say and how to articulate. Now, Cheryl here is suggesting that he's hiding something or maybe he's being dishonest, and that very well could be true. But just because there's a lot of and ahs, or just because he goes in and out of French, I would like to think, and I will give him the benefit of the doubt, that what he's doing there is he's trying to say the right thing or the perfect thing. And even though it doesn't always come out right or perfect, I'd like to think that that's what he's doing. But I'm also acknowledging the very real possibility that he's making it up. Maybe he is. You know who else used to be real bad for the and ahs? And it's ironic because he's very much considered a great speaker, is Barack Obama. He was terrible for the and ahs. All the time he did it. Anytime he had to ad-lib. But I don't think he is an unintelligent person either. I just think that that's his brain and his communication style colliding. Anyway, Cheryl, that's a great observation. I like that a lot. Thank you. Let me get to this now. Sandra Cobain is a member of parliament that I play fairly regularly here on the pod because I think she's a very, very intelligent woman, and I think she's going places. She could possibly be a future finance minister for Canada. One of the things that she was discussing was parental leave. Parental leave is something that Americans would die to have. Here in Canada, we have protected parental leaves, and that's great. They do not have the same system in America, and that holds a lot of people back. So this is something that we as Canadians can be proud of. But just because we can be proud of it, or just because we've got it and the Americans don't, doesn't mean it doesn't need any work. We can always improve what we're doing. Here's Sandra.
Canada is facing three intertwined challenges. We have a productivity crisis, we have rising affordability pressures, and a declining birth rate. And yet our maternal or parental leave policy still forces many parents into an all or nothing choice between career and caregiving. If Canada is serious about addressing our productivity crisis, affordability challenges, and demographic decline, we must stop treating parental leave as a rigid absence from work and start treating it as part of the modern workforce strategy that supports families, employers, and economic growth together. That is why today I'm proud to join with my colleagues in announcing a Conservative plan to modernize parental leave by introducing greater flexibility for Canadian families. Right now, parental leave must be taken consecutively and without interruption. So if a mother temporarily returns to work, she risks losing the remainder of her maternity leave entitlement altogether. That rigid system no longer reflects the realities of modern work or modern family life. Under our plan, mothers would be able to temporarily interrupt their maternity leave through a mutually agreed arrangement with their employers, whether it is for financial necessity, seasonal work demands, or professional obligations, and then return to their remaining maternity leave afterwards without penalty.
Canada's Conservatives are proposing an amendment to employment insurance that would always allow parents receiving parental benefits to pursue education or training. Currently, decisions about who can and cannot learn on leave are made by bureaucrats based on fuzzy criteria, and we would change that. Careers today are dynamic, they shift with the economy, and many families do not have the ability or means to pause everything while upgrading their skills because life tends to happen all at once.
Conservatives are proposing a caregiving exception to employment insurance parental benefit clawbacks. Right now, if somebody receiving EI parental benefits tries to earn a small amount of additional money by providing care to others, they risk having their benefits reduced. Our approach is different. We believe caregivers should be supported. Under a caregiving exception, parents and caregivers would be free to do just that without fear of losing critical benefits. This is about recognizing the value of caregiving in all its forms, supporting family choice, and ensuring our system reflects the realities many Canadians face.
Okay, that is the several women from the Conservative Party talking about what a Poilievre government would do as far as parental leave is concerned. There was 3 different voices you heard in there, and I realize it's audio only, so maybe go back and give that a listen, because that's a conversation that we should absolutely be having here in Canada. We've got parental leave. Good. Is it great? No. There's actually a lot of issues with parental leave that still hold people back. You know, I talk to people all the time, that say things to me like, I would love to have kids. I would love to start a family, but I can't afford it. I can't take the time off work. I can't because of X, Y, and Z factors. Let's make it easier for people to do that. Let's get back to a situation where if you want to stay home and raise the kids, a household can survive on a single income. And that either means that expenses have to come way down or incomes have to go way up. And whatever it is doesn't particularly matter to me. I just want to make sure that nobody feels like they have to put having a family on hold because of the economy. That's something that's just not good. And Canada's birth rate continues to decline. And another generation, and there may not be the Canada that you see today. I'll leave it at that. Another DM. This one is from Michelle. Hey, Scott, I heard you on Z103.5 yesterday. I'm sorry, but I'm not a fan of the music, so I didn't listen long. How do you cope with being a radio host if you're not a fan of the music? Not assuming you hate it, but what if? Thank you. Have a fantastic weekend. So good to hear you on in Toronto yesterday. Michelle, I love that message. Thank you very much. Yes, I do still work from time to time on Z103.5. It is, it's home. I was there for like 20 years, and I like being back in that building. I was filling in for the afternoon host, The Hammer, yesterday, and that's a real busy show. Like, I did not have time to take a swig of coffee. The amount of text messages that come into that show is crazy, but it was real nice to be able to fill in. To answer the specific question, how do radio hosts deal with playing a format that they don't like? I don't really think you have an option. Unfortunately, in this market, you've got to take a job if a job's available. But I will say that I do like the music that I play on Z103. I like the music that I play on Light 92. The formats are very, very different. The station that I'm on in the morning, Light 92.1 FM, all across Southern Ontario. Big, massive 80,000 watt station. It's more of an easy listening vibe. It's not for everybody. Some people might tune it in and say, oh boy, sleepy music. Other people might think, this is perfect. I don't need the nonstop beats all the time. There's like 10 different radio stations all playing the exact same thing. Sometimes that's a nice alternative. But hey, when you want the nonstop beats, when you want the dance music vibe, then you've got Z103.5 there as well. And I like all of those things. I've done country radio. I've done rock radio. I've done easy listening. I've done oldies. I've done all kinds of them. And you know what? To me, it's not really about the music. It's about the content. But I do enjoy the music. But I also enjoy doing content on the radio and having conversations with listeners. I think that's one of the reasons that people get into radio in the first place. Okay, I'm going to do one last clip for you. Then I've got one last DM. Then I'm going to wrap up this episode. One of the things that has come up numerous times recently has been the floor crossers. The most egregious one of them was Marilyn Gladue. She was someone who was probably more on the far right end of the conservative spectrum, and she's one of the ones who crossed the floor to the Liberals. A lot of people believe you can't change your political ideology overnight. There had to have been something that happened here to lure Marilyn over to the dark side, so to speak. Here is her yesterday in the House of Commons asking a question.
Speaker, I'm proud to be part of a government that's committed to defending Canadian trade and ensuring our businesses are not overly reliant on any single market. By opening doors for exporters and supporting small businesses to reach customers around the world, we're strengthening our economy and creating more opportunities in my riding of Sarnia-Lambton-Bikeshwanong and across the country. Could the Minister of Women and Gender Equality and Secretary of State for Small Business and Tourism update this House on the historic progress we've made to diversify Canadian trade?
She read the entire thing, smiling ear to ear as she did it, almost like a caricature, almost like she was mocking herself. The floor crossing stuff is so dishonest. It is just crazy that the government of this country, a G7 country, can't look in the mirror and see what they've done and say, that wasn't very democratic. We should at least reach out to the opposition and try and find a compromise here. I mean, half the country voted for them, so let's try and find a compromise that works for all Canadians. But it seems like they are not ready to do that. Last DM that came in today, and this one's a little bit different. Scott, I listen to your podcast every single day. I love what you do, and I appreciate that this is free. I'm wondering, how can we support you? Okay, thank you very much. That is an anonymous one. Listen, I don't need support. I just want you to listen. You know, every day I do this pod, I put it out, and you can listen or not. You can subscribe or not. You can DM or not. It's totally up to you. I'm putting it out there because you are inundated with messaging from the mainstream media, the televisions, the radios, and the print. But there's not a lot of places in a digital form where every single day you can get a basic summary of everything that happened with long form clips. You can hear the context, and you can also get a little bit of commentary and analysis from me. That's why I do this. I'm not doing it to make money. I'm not looking for money. I'm not actively selling sponsorships or anything like that. If you want to support me, really the best thing you could do is just download an episode. Listen to it from time to time. And you know what? If you get busy and realize 2 or 3 days has gone by and you haven't heard a podcast, hey, dip in. Maybe get caught up. Maybe leave it on for the dog when you go to work during the day. Maybe the dog would like to hear what's going on in Ottawa. There's a lot of different ways that you can play those pods, and every listen adds to my overall numbers. And the numbers are great, by the way. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could probably have a pretty good business out of this. But again, that's not why I'm doing it. I really just want Canadians to be informed. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind or indoctrinate anyone. I'm not trying to convince liberals to become conservatives. I'm really just trying to give you all of the facts and a different spin than what you're seeing from the mainstream media. So if you want to support me, I appreciate you even thinking that. Just download episodes. Listen to them if you can. If you miss a few, go back and listen. Tell a friend too. Hey, I mean, I would love to have more listeners. The more the merrier on a pod like this. I'm certainly paying enough for the bandwidth. So yeah, if I can get a few more people listening, that would be great too. Share an episode, especially if it's a good one, and talk to people. Have those conversations. You know, it used to be back in the day, first thing you did when you got to work in the morning was discuss what you heard on the radio that morning. I was listening to the radio today and they were saying that X, Y, or Z is happening. What do you think? Well, you know what? Podcasting is sort of another form of radio. In fact, this episode or this podcast that I do, because of my radio background, is kind of designed to be listened to like a radio show. Okay, great. Well, you can have those discussions about podcasts too. Doesn't always have to be political. Could be about anything. Sometimes politics and the workplace do not mix. So if you hear something in the pod and you want to have that discussion, just mention where you heard it. Maybe we'll get a new listener out of it. Friends, I'm going to leave it at that. Keep in mind, I am tentatively off on Monday and Tuesday, but if plans fall through, then you never know. There might be an episode. Have an amazing weekend. And to all of the moms, stepmoms, grandmothers, mother figures, and moms to be, I wish you an incredibly happy Mother's Day. Moms are one of the most important things on earth, arguably the most important thing on earth, because without moms, none of us would be here. So please have an amazing Mother's Day. And to anyone who is separated from their mom, maybe you're not close, maybe mom is out of the picture, maybe mom passed away. Hey, I know that a weekend like this can also be tough for you too. And you know what? It's a lot of happy, positive Mother's Day stuff. And I know that that's probably hard to swallow, especially if you have lost your mom or you're separated from your mom. So keep in mind, there are people like me thinking about you as well. And here's hoping you have a great weekend for whatever you decide to celebrate this weekend. Friends, that's it for today. Have a great one. I'll catch you right back here soon. And as always, Pat James and the whole truth. This is Hey Now.
When maintaining your daily wellness rituals is important to you, the change in routine during the summer can feel daunting. Kachava's new travel packs help you stick to your daily ritual, even when you're on the go. Just one packet of Kachava's all-in-one nutrition shake provides complete nutrition with 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, adaptogens, and much more. So you'll be fueled and ready for wherever life or your summer adventures take you. No fillers, no nonsense. Just the good stuff your body craves. Plus, it actually tastes delicious. But you can try it for yourself because the variety pack includes all 6 delicious fan favorites: chocolate, vanilla, chai, matcha, coconut acai, and strawberry. So instead of worrying about sticking to your daily ritual, simplify it with Kachava. Go to Kachava.com and use code NEWS for 15% off. That's KACHAVA.com, code NEWS.